Hey guys, what's up? This is Steve. Today let's go through LeetCode problem 1733, minimum number of people to teach. This is a pretty interesting problem. A lot of people dislike it. I think this is a problem that happened during one of the contests lately. You see like more than five times of people dislike this problem than people who like this problem. I don't know why, but I thought this is a very interesting problem to take a look. Let's take a read at the problem first. On a social network consisting of m users and some friendships between users, two users can communicate with each other if they know a common language. All right, you're given an integer n, an array languages, and an array friendships where there are n languages numbered 1 through n. So a total of n languages, different languages. Languages I is the set of languages the ith user knows. For example, this is the given languages. This is a 2D array. So the 0th user, or the first user, knows language 1. That's what it means. That's what this sentence means, right? And the second user knows language 2, which means the second user can communicate with another user that speaks language 2 as well. And friendships, a third parameter in the given API is UI, VI, which denotes a friendship between the users UI and VI, so friendships. So the third parameter is a 2D array as well, but the size of the 2D array of each row, it's always 2, right? So it's a 2 friends. 2 people make up a friendship. All right, and then you can choose one language. All right, this is highlighted here. Please pay attention here. You can choose one language and teach it to some users so that all friends can communicate with each other. All friends can communicate. So is A a friend with B or is C a friend with D? How is that? How do we know that? They are all defined within this friendship array. Note that the friendships are non-transitive, meaning if X is a friend of Y and Y is a friend of Z, this doesn't guarantee that X is a friend of Z. This drastically simplifies the problem. Let's take a look at one example. Languages, 1, 2, and 1 and 2. So N means there's a total of 2 languages. There are 3 users. Let's just start from index 1. User 1 knows language 1. User 2 knows language 2. User 3 knows both language 1 and language 2. And what's the minimum number of users that we need to teach one language so that all friends can communicate with each other? Let's take a look at who's friend with whom. 1 and 2. They two are friends. So 1 speaks 1, 2 speaks 2. So they two cannot communicate, right? Okay, we need to teach at least 1, 2 or 2, 1. Right? We need to teach user 1 language 2 or user 2 language 1, right? Then we can solve this problem, this friendship problem. And 1 and 3, since 3 speaks both language 1 and language 2, 3 and 1, they can communicate with each other naturally. We don't need to teach anybody anything, right? And 2 and 3, so 2 and 3, since 3 speaks both language 1 and 2, user 3 can communicate with user 2. This friend could work. This friendship could work naturally, right? So the minimum number of users that we need to teach is just 1. It's either we teach user 1 language 2 or we teach user 2 language 1. That's why the output is 1. All right. Then, so we understand the problem. How do we solve this problem? Well, if we take a close look at this problem, you can choose one language. You can only choose one language and teach it to some users. And there are n languages. We don't know which one of these n languages is the language that requires the least amount of effort to teach the least amount of people, right? So it's kind of brute force, but we call it we call it iteration, right? We need to traverse through all of the possible teaching options or which language to teach so that we know the minimum number of users we need to teach. So that means we need to go through every single language we need to calculate the number of users that we need to teach for every single language, and then we take the minimum number, right? So that's the approach that we should take. And so that's the first step. Second step, how do we calculate the number of users that we need to teach for this particular language? Well, what we can do is that first we'll have a very simple hash map, because we are given this 2D array. It's not super easy to manipulate, right? So for example, how do we know which user has which languages? Although it can be based on the index, but how can we do further operations? For example, if this user has any intersections with the other users' spoken languages, right? So we'll put this one into a hash map. The key of the hash map is just the user index, and we'll start from 1, and the value of the hash map is going to be the spoken languages of this user. That's number 1, first step. Second step, what we want to do is that we can use a Boolean, that's an extra array. Use a Boolean array. The size of the Boolean array is going to be the number of friendships. So we want to make sure that remember, the purpose of this problem is that we want to make sure that all friends could communicate with each other. So the purpose of this Boolean array is to make sure that all friends could communicate with each other. So first, without teaching any users any additional languages beyond their natural ability, we want to check how many friends could communicate with each other already, right? So that's the purpose of this Boolean array. With that array in place, we can check for every single friendship. If they cannot talk, then we'll just go through every single language. We'll see if both parties of this friendship can speak this language or not. If they cannot, we'll just add one. We'll just teach this user, and then we'll add all of them up. We'll just use a for loop to go through every single language. Then we'll just find the minimum number of users we need to teach. It could be any language, right? So we need to go through every single language and find the minimum number of users we can teach, and then return. That's the end. I hope the idea is kind of clear. If it's not, let me put the idea into the actual code. Hopefully then we can walk through while I'm typing. All right, so first we'll have a hash map, integer, set integer, I'll call it len map, new hash map. And so here we'll just go through all of the languages. Int I, let me simplify this, len, length I++. For this, we'll create a map. I'll just call it set, new hash set, and then for into, I'll just call it len, and then, oh no, this is, I'll call it length, length I, and for every single one of them, add len into this hash set, and then we'll put this one, remember we'll +1 here, since we'll start every single user or its username starting from index 1, right? So, but here I start from 0. So we'll put set into this hash map, and then we'll have, this is how we initialized the hash map. Okay, next up, we'll use can com new Boolean. This is the initial state. We're going to initialize this Boolean array as well to see how many friends could already communicate with each other before we teach anybody anything, right? So I'll simplify this, just call it friends, right? Friends length, then for int I equals 0, we'll go through all of the friends, length I++. So at this point, this is the beauty, this is the use of initializing a len map so that we can easily do further operations. If len map get, for easy, I'll call it F1, which stands for friend 1, which is friends I0, right? And then here, friends 2, F2, get friend 1. So this get gives us the languages that F friend 1 could speak. Contains, so if this one contains, okay, we need another for loop, which is to help us to go through all of the languages, right? We'll start the languages starting from 1, right? Language n numbered from 1 through n. So we'll just call it j, use another loop, j smaller than or equal to n, j plus plus. All right, indentation, oops, put them back. All right, and then we'll go through every single language here. If first friend 1 can speak language j, and second friend can speak language j as well, that means these two friends, this friendship works. This is I, true, right? We'll set this one to be true. Otherwise, this is the main logic of this problem, is that we'll just go through or iterate through every single language to see if we use this language, how many users we need to teach so that all friends could communicate, right? So this time I'm just going to use I to go through all of the languages, and then we'll use, it's kind of a switch, but if you know what I'm doing, you're fine. J smaller than friends length j. So first, if can com j, if this two cannot communicate, if these two friends cannot communicate, okay, we'll still put it out as, let me just copy this one, friends, lazy typing, j0, this is the first friend, this is the second friend. If lam map get f1 contains, oops, I think contains, I put it wrong here. Oh yeah, that's correct. So this get is going to give us a set, a hash set, right? Then we check hash set whether this one contains, what is this? I. The language is I, right? If it doesn't, oops, if it doesn't, okay, I need another variable here. I'll initialize a set, call it teach, hash set, another variable min teach. I'll initialize to be a big one. I don't need that, but the maximum that we need to teach is just friends, the total number of friends, right? And then in the end, we'll return min teach. So, but here we need to teach. If this is the case, we'll add f1 there. So if this friend 1 doesn't speak the language I, then we'll need to teach friend 1 language I, right? So we'll just add f1 into teach. The same goes for this, for f2. If friend 2 cannot speak language I, then we'll have to teach friend 2 this language, which language is language I, right? And then at the end of this inner for loop, what we want to check is we want to update this min teach math min teach size. All right, so what this does is this is basically putting the logic into actual code. So why we have a hash set here? So this hash set is going to help us keep track of the users that we need to teach if we pick language I as the language to teach everybody so that all friends can communicate, right? And then the inner for loop is to help us check whether this pair of friendship can speak language I. If they don't, we'll just check whether we need to teach both of them or either one of them or none of them, right? And then after this for loop ends, right, the inner for loop ends, we get the number of users that we need to teach language I into the hash set teach. And then we check against the min teach, which is the minimum number of users that we need to teach based on all primary languages that we have checked. In the end, we just return min teach, right? Looks good to you guys? Let me try to hit a run code to see if there's any compile error. All right. Oh, I'm missing a close parenthesis. Something is wrong here. No, still something is wrong. Cannot find symbol. Why you cannot find? Oh, okay. This is parenthesis, not square parenthesis. Contains. What am I doing? Anything else? No, it looks good to me. One more time. I'm just using a compiler to help me check. This is not so good. I'm missing one more parenthesis. What? Oh, this one should be square brackets. All right. All right, accepted. Now let me hit submit. All right, accepted, 33%. Let me hit it one more time to see if there's any difference. Could be none. That's totally, either way is fine. Exactly the same. That's interesting. All right, anyway, this is the way that I approached this problem. Hopefully it makes sense to you guys. I did use quite a lot of extra space, like a language map and a Boolean array, but it's all very reasonable, so it's accepted on LeetCode as well. I hope it makes sense to you guys. Please let me know how you guys approach this problem and how you felt about the solution. That would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you feel this video helps you understand the problem or the solution, please do me a favor and hit the like button. That's going to help a lot with the YouTube algorithm, and I really, really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as I have accumulated quite a lot of different LeetCode, data structures, Amazon Web Service tutorials on my channel. Feel free to check them out. So hopefully I'll just see you guys in just a few short seconds in my other videos. Thanks very much for watching.